You're listening to India Bio Speaks, your one-stop resource for science, news and careers. Dear listeners, in this special episode addressing mental health in academia, India Bio Speaks revisits excerpts from a discussion that happened on October 9th, 2020. This discussion addressed issues around mental health, particularly those that are relevant to early and mid-career faculty. Featuring Sandhya Visweswariah, Maitrayee DasGupta, Hansika Kapoor, and Imroze as panelists, this discussion was moderated by Karishma Kaushik and Mayuri Rege. Enjoy listening.
I think one thing Mayuri, we hit the nail on the head when it came to the issues, the key issues, right? This seems to be a common theme because the solutions were also spot on. So, look, I'm not talking only for myself here, but maybe I'll start with Hansika. Hansika, a big thing that happens when you become an early career PI is this sense of isolation. Suddenly there are, people are junior to you. People working with you are not people who, so everybody would be comfortable pouring their deepest fears and problems. Though some of us are very, very open about it, because I believe one should train honesty. So how does one overcome issues of this? This is isolation. The other issue is confidentiality. How much do you tell your colleagues? Ultimately, we are all competing for the same positions. We are all competing for the same grants. Who's in their network? If you talk to seniors, how do you know they are not out to kill my career? How do you know they'll keep it to themselves? These are practical issues we face. And to be honest, I don't know if Mayuri will second me on this, but the people we end up talking to are our spouses, our parents, our children. Now, as so far they're pretty young, they don't understand, but at some point I'm going to be banking on him as well. So, we bring it all home because there is nobody to talk to at work. Not peers, not juniors, not seniors. And so a young person in Indian science very correctly said we should not use our spouses as punching bags or as counselors. So how do you think we can navigate this better?
Thank you, Karishma, for the question. I think I concur with Professor Maitrayee, who said that I hate the word competition, where collaboration is preferred and where cooperation is preferred. And the thing is that approaching peers or approaching juniors from a mindset that already predicts how they're going to betray you, for instance, is going to preclude any kind of confidence that you have in their ability to help you as well. So you're writing them off even before you've even tried to do it because of hearsay or because you heard X telling Y that they have done this to someone else in the past and things like that. But I think your own lived experience counts and matters much more. I think it's a risk, of course, to communicate with someone who you're probably competing with on the same bid or the same grant application or whatever it is. But if forces are combined, maybe you'll end up writing a joint grant proposal that would be much stronger for a bid as compared to two fairly weak ones. So I think it all comes down to the perceptions that we have about how harmful people can be to us in this community. And I think that's ingrained and entrenched in how we approach collaborators and how we approach our juniors, seniors, mentors, whoever it is. And I personally, I'm a social scientist. I don't come from this, I don't believe in, oh my God, everybody's out to take away my funds because I have limited funds to begin with, but at the same time, I know that the cutthroat competition is much, much greater in biosciences, life sciences, STEM, and things like that. But I think this would also help deal with the isolation aspect of your question, because if you believe that yes, everybody in my peer circle is out to kind of just one up me and no one wants to collaborate with me and everybody just wants to compete, you're not taking the first step to change that academic culture, which has grown into this extremely animosity driven kind of environment where everybody's just trying to step on each other's toes to get ahead. So I think in that sense, starting from a place of trust and not of suspicion may be my recommendation, and then
we
seeing
do
where
that
it
on the
goes.
personal front all the time, right? I mean, we walk into a marriage on the basis of trust, not expecting it to fall apart. So why not apply the same metric in a professional setting as well, just to a larger group of people? Correct, absolutely.
Precisely, right. And the results may surprise you. They may shock you, but they may surprise you as well. And if enough of us do it, then I think the slow changes in generations of scientists in India we can move towards that path instead of at least instead of where we are right now, I guess.
And we can at least start it. I mean, maybe few people will let you down. Maybe there'll be others who are surprises along the way. You develop very good bonds with them. Absolutely. Thank you, Hansika. Imroze, how have you dealt with this?
So I briefly spoke about this at the beginning about how this confidentiality and isolation could be some problem, right? But I mostly agree with what Hansika said. So but I also want to highlight again this lack of trustworthy guidance. This is a raging issue for many people. Not that I haven't got, so I've been lucky to get some of these things perhaps throughout my academic career, but I know of many people who couldn't manage to do that. So, but not that also for many of these people, they did not realize the importance of getting a trustworthy guidance or finding a trustworthy guidance, which is so important. So I really put this at a high importance to consider for all of us, even the early career, my colleagues who are from early career scientists.
If you have a strategy or a good question, you will reach the goal, maybe at the end. But if you don't have a strategy and you have all the riches in the world, that's all noise. You will not reach anywhere. So that kind of confidence gives you to stick to a question, stick to you are strong inside. So nothing else mattered. I mean, everything was, Imroze knew what my lab looked like. Imroze knew how I fought. I mean, he was an early time student. And I was not, inside I was what I was. Outside I was fighting. So that's how it should be for everyone. The struggle is common. Everybody is struggling somewhere, some front or the other. You won't find anybody who is not struggling for some reason or the other. Okay, so absolutely. None of us are alone. I mean, now at the end of the day, I understand everybody is struggling in some front or the other.
Absolutely.
So,
thank you.
Yeah. So you just have to be strong inside, that with a conviction that you have to keep on.
Sandhya, you're part of a larger institute and you've been on big committees and panels and awards. There is this thing of, young researchers feel we face this crab syndrome. There is, why are we, like Dr. Maitrayee said, why are we not collaborating well enough in India? Are we not? Are we? And is it because there are too few of us or there is too less space to accommodate us? How can we make it better?
I think it all boils down to that terrible word, competition. Okay, even amongst our younger colleagues, they're always looking over their shoulder at what the other person has done. And one thing that I do want to say, however, is that part of growing up and part of, I won't say growing old, but maturing or aging or whatever you want to call it, part of that involves you looking at an individual with a step back from them. And looking at them and figuring out what it is that's driving them, what is it that's motivating them. And if you do that, you will end up being able to evaluate your colleagues as to whether they become good collaborators, whether they become the people you can share your problems with, or your successes for that matter. Because one of the things I find that, we even if something works, we hesitate to tell someone else because we're concerned that they'll be jealous and they'll get bothered by that. So I think, that ability to step outside of yourself and look at yourself and the other as, two bodies which are now kind of within some sort of collision distance, and figure out whether there are nooks and crannies that can be adjusted so that you fit together as a whole. I think that ability is something that we must try to inculcate in ourselves, which comes back to the first point that was raised right at the beginning of this discussion. How do you do that? Maybe you don't do that by watching Hindi movies, okay? Because the behavior of those individuals can be quite abnormal, right? You really do this only by reading, by putting yourself in the shoes of another human being, because he or she would have reacted to a particular incident in a particular way. That may be something you might do, something you may not do. And when I mean reading in any language. I mean, literature is so rich across all languages in our country. Try and put yourself in the other person's shoes. And, then if you're able to do that, empathy will increase. Your ability to talk to someone will improve. Your ability to share your worries and your concerns will also increase. And this feeling of everyone or humankind as a whole wanting to move forward rather than just one person charging ahead. I think these are the things that perhaps we lack when we think about our labs and the science that we do.
Or the environments we are in.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Obviously, the environment is what we have created.
Yes.
So
yes.
conscious effort if we want to change the environment.
So reading, it translates to introspection, building ourselves from within. Absolutely.
I think that was a great discussion. It's time to move on to our longer Q&A. We've got a bunch of really good questions. I'm going to start off with the first one. A PI will often go through a rough phase and the lab will face the brunt of it. So very few PIs, unfortunately, are comfortable sharing with their students that they have stress or they're having a bad time right now. So how do you think we can encourage PIs to have a conversation with the lab when they're not doing so well, and so that they can actually support them and not just be in the state of confusion as to what is happening? So,
when you start your lab, the age difference between you and your first student is really not that much. Both of you belong to the same generation, right? And from my own experience, what I found is some of my best friends happen to be some of my earliest students. So I think in the beginning, assuming that you see maturity in the students working with you, you should feel free to share your difficulties. You should feel free to share your problems. As you get older, the generation gap comes in. And then, it's sometimes somewhat difficult to convince the younger person that you're actually on the same page as them. But in the beginning, as young investigators, you should really look at your students as your friends first. And invariably, you'll find that some of them do stay with you for the next 30, 40 years. And you can watch their success and feel happy as if they were your own children.
Help them help you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Also, I think this is, I absolutely agree with what Sandhya just said, because it's so important to have this relationship so transparent to begin with. But ultimately, what I think when the last phase is that when you slowly, as the time goes, when the age difference keeps on increasing, maybe that time that transparency may not be between you and the students, but perhaps if you could have those culture already instilled in the lab, that thing will stay on. Your senior students will take it forward, and eventually, that it will be a continuum of transparency between the PI and the junior most student who comes to it.
Exactly. Open communication has to be two-way, right? So anyway, thank you. That was great. So maybe the next question could be for Imroze and Hansika. So the lockdown has thrown a lot of challenges. So Rajesh Patkar and somebody else asked, how are people dealing with their lab at this time? How are you managing relations? How do you keep your spirits up?
Sure. So I think it's a wonderful question, pertinent specifically to the last several months that has kept us at home. What I do personally is try and have at least team meetings where everybody is coming in, not a work-related thing, because work is going on throughout the week, throughout the month, but more like a downtime session or like just a recreational session where all of us just join a Zoom call together and talk about the latest Netflix or Amazon Prime stuff that we've been watching. So a really unwinding session, which we used to do, in non-lockdown times every Friday and things like that over lunch. But now, because it's few and far between, I think it's really important to maintain that kind of connection where you're still being able to interact with everyone. Monthly is not as often as I want to do it, but given other scheduling constraints, of course, that's what I've been doing to keep up team spirit in a way, and to try and make sure that, again, if there are times or concerns that individuals in my team have, they can, of course, message me at any point in time and let me know. I mean, somebody couldn't finish a task because their neighbor or someone in their family got COVID, and it's really important for us to be very, very sensitive and very, very sensitized at times like these, where we cannot impose hard deadlines. So every that we're giving as PIs needs to be a soft deadline in lockdown, because I just don't think that it will be fair to impose constraints when you're not entirely understanding what context your team members may be living through right now. So that's something that
Thank you.
Beautiful. It gave us all a lot of perspective. Yes. Thank you, Hansika.
Thank you all for listening, and we hope that you found this useful. We would love to hear your feedback, as always, your comments, your thoughts, your ideas. So please do comment, share, subscribe to India Bio Speaks. Please also check out several curated resources on mental health on the India Bioscience website. You will find a link to these on the description section of this podcast. Stay safe, stay informed, and stay healthy. See you soon. If you're passionate about scientific research, communication, outreach, and science education as we are, please connect and engage with us, and here are some ways that you can do so.
Visit our website at www.indiabioscience.org.
Subscribe to our newsletters.
Write for us and join our online discussion forum at discuss.indiabioscience.org.
Advertise jobs, grants and events in the life sciences on our website.
And feel free to contact us anytime at hello@indiabioscience.org.
Until next time, enjoy your science and stay engaged to enable change.